Thank you everyone for joining our webinar on how to reduce negative feedback with auto exclusion rules. My name is Franz Valmonte, and I'm a senior technical support analyst at Ecom Engine. We might have talked before because aside from conducting webinars like this, I do onboarding of new users, account reviews, provide technical support via live chat, email, and phone for FeedbackFive and Market Scout. In my spare time, I like to read graphic novels, manga, and sci-fi books. So most of you are probably familiar with FeedbackFive. We Ecom Engine supports a full suite of tools exclusively for Amazon merchants. Our other tools are Restock Pro, an inventory tool for FBA sellers, Market Scout, a market research tool, and Smart Price, an algorithmic repricer. So we have started in 2007 and our headquarters is in Richmond, Virginia. Our main focus for today would be FeedbackFive. And before we dive in, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom window, and we'll answer it at the end of the presentation. So why do we have to auto exclude anyway? So first, this saves you time by streamlining the process through automation. Second, it helps reduce the risk of receiving negative feedback. And when you have less negative feedback, you'd have a good seller reputation. You may also track and manage which customers your feedback requests would go to. And lastly, not every order is worth soliciting. So that's something we'll learn more about as we move along. So what exactly are auto exclusions? Auto exclusions are settings in FeedbackFive that allow you to easily present or prevent certain type of orders from receiving emails. And while feedback is vital to your business's success, there will be times when a buyer has had a poor experience or the risk of a buyer having a poor experience is much higher. And these scenarios are something you'd probably want to avoid asking for feedback. So those comments, whether they're right or wrong, may have an impact on your sales and your seller reputation. So there are several types of auto exclusions. So the first is we can exclude canceled orders. So FeedbackFive refrains from requesting feedback in certain cases, and as a standard feature of our Pro and above plans, we exclude canceled orders from all feedback solicitations. We can also exclude late and out of country orders. So there's a good reason to exclude orders like this because you know that they're not delivered on time and a buyer is likely to blame you whether you're not the cause of the tardiness. And if you're shipping products overseas, you may be encountering obstacles to timeliness over which you have no control. Customs, language, sheer distance, etc. Next is exclude orders by SKU. So a particular product may be generating a large number of complaints, and if you continue to sell this item, you may want to avoid encouraging feedback for related transactions. Next is exclude refunded orders. So if you've had to issue a refund and your customer may not have the best things to say about your products or services, I think it's best that we avoid requesting for feedback or review in this situation. Good news, FeedbackFive gives you the ability to do that, and that can be done at the campaign level, which we'll show you later. Lastly, we can also mark orders or buyers as do not solicit. So good candidates for this type of exclusions are orders where the customers have asked for a refund or called or emailed a complaint once or repeatedly. So now I will show you how to set these exclusions in the FeedbackFive user interface. So most of these exclusions can be found under emails, exclusions, and you see there are three tabs. First tab is for general exclusions. So the first on the list tells us that FeedbackFive automatically exclude. So here's that line. So FeedbackFive automatically exclude canceled orders for accounts at the Pro plan level and above. And then The next line states that you can exclude customers who left you positive feedback from your seller feedback requests. So this can be done by enabling the enhanced feature access. So if you want to learn more about it, when you visit this page, you can just click on this hyperlink here, and it gives you the instructions on how to set it up. Just to give you an idea, once your Amazon Marketplace web services is connected to FeedbackFive, we can import your orders as well as your negative feedback. Since we don't have the ability to import your positive feedback that way, you need to grant us a secondary user permission. And you can simply invite this user, and once we have received the invitation, we will process it within a few hours. Normally, it's within 24 hours. Once it's accepted, Amazon will notify you via email that the invitation has been accepted. And that's the time that you can set the permission. So you just need to grant us one permission, and that's for feedback. You don't have to give us edit access or admin access. We just need the view access. And then once that's done, we can import your feedback. So the last three items on the list are the ability to exclude orders that ship late from solicitation. So this is something you can switch on and off. Orders shipped out of country from solicitation. And then we also have checkout by Amazon, but this has been discontinued already, and it was effective April 2017. So now let's check the next tab, which is by SKU. So on the Pro plan and above, you can exclude orders containing certain SKUs here. So any order containing one or more SKUs in the SKU exclusions list will be excluded from all campaigns. So once a SKU is added, all orders containing that SKU will be excluded from email solicitations. So to remove a SKU from the list, click the delete icon on the right. So you can see that trash icon here. And if you want to remove all SKUs from the list, you can just click on this red button where it says delete all SKUs. So when a SKU is removed from the exclusions list, orders that were previously marked as do not solicit because of the SKU exclusion will remain excluded, and orders imported after the SKU was removed will be eligible for solicitations. So if your SKU used to be problematic and the issue got fixed, rest assured that old orders won't get solicited. So the last tab is for by order numbers. So here you can exclude specific order numbers from all email solicitations, or you can exclude a list of buyers from all emails based on their Amazon email address. So this is helpful if you're transitioning from a previous email tool. So you may want to migrate your blacklist of buyer who do not want to be solicited, or you may want to make sure that orders that already receive your old emails do not receive your new ones as well. So you can simply paste a list of order numbers or email addresses, each on separate line, then you can click on Save Changes. So the other way of exclusion can be found on the campaign level. So now we can go to Emails, Campaigns. So one thing you'll notice here is that we have two active campaigns that are labeled default. So that's your seller feedback request and product review request. So all plan levels comes with these two email campaigns, but you do have the ability to create more campaigns, custom campaigns as we call it. So these default campaigns automatically includes a rule to exclude refunded orders, and that's also listed in here. So the order is not being refunded, so that means that the order will be eligible to be solicited. So if you're going to be creating your own campaign, it's important that you add the same rule if you want to exclude refunded orders. And doing that is easy. So let's try to create a new campaign, and I'll show you how it's done. So you click on Create New Campaign. So you simply list, we simply fill this fields out. So you name your campaign. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll just call it test campaign. And then let's choose a random template, enter a description. I'll just leave the timing as is. So here's the part that I'd like to talk to you about. So you can add the exclusion for refunded orders by clicking on the drop-down menu called Add Another Rule. And as you'll notice, there are a bunch of rules included here. Most of it are self-explanatory, but in a nutshell, this allows you to target specific buyers based on the category you're selecting. Like we have rules to send to specific orders, or I'm sorry, specific SKUs and ASINs. You have the fulfillment channel. And then the third one is for repeat buyers. We also have a way to send for emails based on the number of previous emails for the order, seller feedback, the previous campaign. We can also send based on days. We can also send based on how many unique SKUs are included in the order. And then if the buyer has received an email in the past. And then here's what we're looking for, send to refunded orders. The other rules are for states and provinces, item price, discounts, and order numbers ending in. So we need here is the send to refunded orders. So we just select that. And then you click on the drop down menu beside it and choose never send to refunded orders. So once that's done and you're happy with your campaign, you can click on save. So there's a okay. So it means that I might have used this name already. So let's just name this something else. I'm not too creative, so I'll just add it. I'll just add the word new and I'll hit save. Okay. So now it's successful. So if you're happy with this campaign you created, you can just activate it and then it will eventually load the pending emails right here. So lastly, you can also select orders or buyers in your scheduling page. If you haven't seen the scheduling page yet, you can go to emails, scheduling, and this is where you'll find when the email is supposed to go out. So you can see here when was the last date that the email was sent and the campaigns that are supposed to send. So here you can exclude orders by filtering the selection. So you have different filter criteria here. So you can save your filter. You can filter it by date, order status, the status of the order itself, whether it's pending, meaning it's supposed to be solicited. So solicited, those are the ones that have received email already. Excluded. So we also have a criteria for feedback, fulfillment channel, the last campaign received, the next campaign, and then the types of do not solicit that was added. You can also search for the order using the search box on the left-hand side. So I have a sample order here. And now we have the order filtered. So there are two ways to exclude an order or to mark it as do not solicit. So one quick way of doing that is by scrolling to the right, look for the DNS column, and just clicking on the checkbox. So once it's marked as do not solicit, the status will change to do not solicit. And automatically, this campaign is not going to be included in any solicitation. If you want to remove it, let's say you added it by mistake, you can just click on the X mark under the DNS column, and it's back to pending. So the other way of doing it, and you'll find this more useful if you have multiple orders to exclude, and that's by selecting. So once you select it, by clicking on the checkbox here, it will be highlighted in orange. You click on select action, and then you'll see different options here. So the second on the list allows you to mark this particular order as do not solicit. So that means that if the buyer orders from you again, the other order is eligible to receive an email. But if you want your buyer to be permanently excluded from all solicitations, then you want to select the second one, which is do not solicit buyer for any order. And if you change your mind and you want that order to be included for solicitation again, you also have the option of removing it by selecting remove do not solicit. I also want to set expectations that this only works for orders marked as do not solicit. If it is the buyer that's marked do not solicit, then you may not remove the do not solicit mark. If you really want that to be removed, you can contact customer success and we can do it for you. So that's all for auto exclusions. So we'll stay for a few minutes to answer some of your questions. And while we pull it up, I just want you to know that we appreciate reviews as much as you do. And we would be extremely grateful if you may leave us a review on the Amazon Marketplace App Store. And we will also put the review link in the chat box. Now let's take a look at your questions. Okay, so first question here is, how can I tell if I have the pro level? So that's a good question. So if you're one of the, or if you're the store owner of the account, you would have access to the accounts page. So you simply click on the upper right corner where you see your name and click on account. So this is where you could tell your current service plan. So this demo account we're using is on the Enterprise 100 level. But if you're on the Pro plan, it should show as Pro. So any plan starting from Pro and above are eligible to receive the auto, or it automatically comes with those auto exclusions. Also, I may have failed to mention, if you're on the light and basic plan, although you don't have the ability to auto exclude canceled orders or the general auto exclusions, you can manually mark an order as do not solicit, which I showed you earlier. You can also use the exclusion in bulk, which can be found in the emails exclusions page. You can see that here. So this will remain available. And you also have the option to send an email to the do not solicit email address or the exclusion email address. And this email is unique per store. So that's DNS plus your store number at subscriptionloop.com. Don't have to remember that because you can find that here. And if you have like multiple stores, then if you switch store, then this number changes. So, okay. So next question is, any suggestions on timing of when to send a seller versus product review email? So this is not particularly related to the exclusions, but we do have a help center article that gives suggestions on when to send your seller feedback request and product review request email. I would say that there's no definite time to request for product review in particular, because that will vary based on the type of product you are selling. If you want to learn more about it, you can visit our help center article, and you can just use the following keywords. So for date, you can just search for date on when to send it, and you'll see the help center article called "What Day Should I Send My Emails?" And then we have here when to request for seller feedback. So our suggestion normally is within 3 days after the product is delivered. You don't really have to wait that long for seller feedback. And then for product review, then it's basically based on the type of product you are selling. When it comes to time, we also have a help center article for that, and you can just use the keyword time. And our basically our suggested time is within 6 to 9 a.m. or 6 to 9 p.m. because they are outside work hours, and customers would normally, or your customers would normally have time to check their personal emails. So the chances of getting a response would be much higher. So another question we have here is, why should I want to exclude SKUs that give me positive feedback? So I agree. There's no reason for you to exclude that SKU. Normally, the SKUs that you want to exclude are the ones that are problematic. And while you're trying to fix whatever the issue that you're commonly getting feedback about, then you may want to include that in the SKU exclusions list. I might have confused you with the enhanced feature access, which we showed you under the general exclusions tab. So the enhanced feature access allows us to import your positive seller feedback. And once we can import your positive seller feedback, you do have the ability to exclude customers who left you feedback. And that makes sense for seller feedback requests. So if you've already received the feedback for this order, then you don't want to bug that same customer requesting for a feedback. So we automatically skip that order and proceed to those that have not left you feedback. So another question we have is, in the exclusions, is the email, the Amazon unique to transaction at marketplace? It's actually, although the email address is changed for Amazon Marketplace, so you don't see the actual email address of the buyer, it remains the same. So if that customer orders from you again, then it's going to be the same email address. And that's why we can recognize, or our system can recognize that customer, and thus allows us to exclude him or her from future solicitations. When you say exclude by Amazon email, you mean the encrypted email? That, yes, it is the encrypted email that you can also see in the scheduling. I'm sorry, in the buyer seller messaging page or the messaging page in Seller Central. So one more question we have here is, does excluding in any way affect your service metrics with Amazon, and as a result put other services at risk, like next day shipping, for example? Um, so we normally just recommend the exclusion in certain cases. So we're not doing a mass exclusion that it would be too noticeable that you would be questionable in by Amazon. So basically, we only want to exclude specific orders that make sense, like canceled orders, those that are shipped late. Let's say your customer is already unhappy, you already had a communication, then that's the time you can manually exclude them. Refunded orders. What else? We've also covered a SKU that may be problematic, but you're not doing it for your entire product catalog. So it would not be too noticeable, and you don't want that to be too noticeable to the fact that you may be manipulating your feedback or reviews. So I hope I was able to answer it right. If not, we could ask you more about it through email. You can contact us through customer success, and we can also review your messaging and see if there's anything that may be violating Amazon's policy, because we also want you to be fully compliant. All right, so we still have a lot of questions here, but I think that's all we have for today. But that's all right. We rest assured that we will definitely get back to you via email to respond to some of your questions and provide more insight. Again, I want to thank you for joining, and we hope that you found this information valuable in improving your seller feedback and product review rating. We also hope to do more of this in the future, and we will also be sending your recording out over email to all registrants. Feel free to contact us if you have any additional questions or suggestions. Thanks, and I hope you have an excellent day. Bye.